This ESPN podcast is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com.
Before we get started in today's show, I want to tell you about Stamps.com, longtime sponsor of the B.S. Report. It's quick, it's convenient. More importantly, it's really, really easy to use. You do not have to go to the post office anymore. You can just stay home. Make your own office, your personal post office. You can avoid lines. You can avoid just standing there as somebody mails some package, some 79-year-old lady. Who needs that? Make your own mailing and shipping from your house. Stamps.com. Put in the top right of the site, BS. You'll get a deal and a scale and a whole bunch of other things. It's a great product. You can buy and print official U.S. postage using your computer and printer. Stamps.com will give you a digital scale. It will automatically calculate the exact postage for any letter, any package. They'll even help you choose the best class of mail. Wow. Why go to the post office? Just give it to the postman. Stamps.com. Check it out.
The B.S. Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects. The B.S. Report. The B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the B.S. Report, taping this on a beautiful Monday here in Southern California. Holy mackerel, is the weather good here in late November. I just spent 4 or 5 days in New York City. It was 30 degrees every day. God bless the East Coast, but it's good to be back on the West Coast. We had some great football yesterday. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it from start to finish. They were good games. I was fascinated by them. Cousin Sal, your team pulled one out.
You know, as if people aren't going to hate us enough for bragging about the Cowboys and you for the Patriots beating another division leader, romping, and also the Red Sox with 2 major big boom signings. Then you have to bring up the weather. It's just too much for people to handle, I think.
What did you think of those signings as a National League aficionado?
I think you're in good shape. I think did you know this was coming, all this money being spent? Like, you figure they would go after one. I thought maybe Sandoval, but Ramirez too?
You know what I like? The Ramirez one, I just tweeted this. Very similar to the J.D. Drew signing from 2006, where all the fans of the team that just had him are making fun of me that we signed him. And
right.
For the most part, they were right, but J.D. Drew had one of the biggest hits in the history of the Red Sox franchise, swung the grand slam against Cleveland, swung the playoffs toward the Red Sox favor. We never looked back. We won a World Series with J.D. Drew. He might have been the most frustrating Red Sox player of the last 12 years. I don't care. We won a World Series with him. I hope it repeats itself with Hanley Ramirez, who sounds like he just isn't a great guy. I think the chemistry Beards era is over now for the Red Sox.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I remember my friends making fun of me as a Mets fan for the J.D. Drew signing, and they were all right, every single one of them.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for Sandoval because, as we've discussed many times, we had the Royals at 18-1 to win the World Series, and every single time for 7 straight games when they pitched to the Panda, I thought he was getting a hit. I was terrified of him, and now he's on the Red Sox. It's great. I couldn't be happier.
It was terrifying, especially the 18-1 part. So are we still able to hedge that or no? We lost out on that deal?
Yeah, it's really, when they do the oral history of all the other ways we've lost money incredibly, when the odds seem like just impossible for us to lose, I'd like to that bet should have been a chapter, or it would be a chapter.
Absolutely.
I think. So I loved the Cardinals yesterday. I did not know that Larry Fitzgerald wasn't playing. That made me nervous. The Cardinals missed a long field goal early. That made me nervous. Guy drops a touchdown that would have made it 9-7 going in the half. At that point, it just didn't seem like it was the Cardinals' day. The game meant much more to Seattle, obviously, than it did to Arizona. And the fact that they scratched Larry Fitz almost to me seemed like a little bit of a white flag move. And yet they hung in there and they beat the hell out of Russell Wilson. Am I wrong to come out of that game thinking that I still like the Cardinals?
No, I wouldn't take anything away from the Cardinals after that game. As all the points you just made, it was a must-win for Seattle. And their defense really did step up. I know there was a drop that John Brown can only make spectacular catches, so he dropped the easy one thrown to him in the end zone. But didn't
Jerron Brown, the other Brown, drop that one? I thought.
Wasn't it John Brown? It wasn't. Oh,
one of the Browns. See, we're in another Thomas situation with the Cardinals.
Oh, here we go. You're right.
Yeah, one of the
them just
Browns. It
get
might have been the other Brown.
Yeah, we'll never know which Brown it was, but no, the Cardinals are still good, and hats off to Seattle. They played exactly the kind of game they needed to play, I thought.
Yeah, their defense was excellent. They did all the right things. Once they knew Fitz was out, they stacked the line. They weren't going to let Ellington beat them. They wanted Drew Stanton to make some plays. He had some guys open. He did not play that well. That was a tough spot for him to be in, but at the same time, they really beat up Russell Wilson in that game. That game had like 35-3 potential. And man, if they make that field goal and if he catches that pass and it's a tie game at halftime and the Cards can play with a little bit of a lead, I think they would have had a chance. That's a great division. I thought the Rams were excellent in the who'd they lose to it? The Chargers game. I thought they got, how about that Tavon Austin holding penalty? Oh my God. That was the worst call of the year.
I think the officiating has gotten really bad over the last few weeks. I don't know what's going on. These guys would just coast into the Thanksgiving break or something. I don't know what has there's a wave of bad officiating all across the league. And last night was terrible. We didn't get to talk about the Cowboys game, but on both sides, I'm going to complain, obviously, that the Cowboys were screwed over more. But, yeah, that was a bad holding call. The Rams stuck in there. One of the better 4-7 teams I've ever seen, I think, right now.
Yeah, and it was tough because the Sean Hill, just a classic. That's why he's Sean Hill, and that's why when you don't have an elite quarterback, you throw interceptions in the end zone on the biggest drive of the game. But the first set of games, the early games, was just bad coaching galore. Jim Caldwell, Mike Smith, even Mike Patton on the Browns made some really, really head-scratcher moves, I thought. And just so on down the line. Then the games, as you pointed out, a lot of bad ref calls. And then the late game, it was like the Giants lost, but it's almost like they won because of the Beckham catch. I feel like history's going to remember that as a Giants win somehow.
Well, that's, I was, and I get sick watching these games. I know I'm 43 years old and I shouldn't be talking about this. There's much more important things in the world, but I physically start to get sick. I heat up watching these games. I take my shirt off. I walk around the house. I really need to be like Walter White in a cabin in New Hampshire watching these late night division games because and maybe I'm giving Cowboys fans too much credit, but is there any other team that hates every other team in their division and it's just a grueling 3.5 hours of just I like when you play the Bills, does it ruin your month if you're going to lose to the Bills in Buffalo? I don't think so, right? I hate the Redskins. I hate the Eagles. I hate Eli, JPP, and now Beckham, greatest athlete in the league right now. But I can't take it. I just get so wound up.
Yeah, the Pats were so bad off and on for so many years that our rivalries were basically just like Miami beating us every year. Mm-hmm. So it's not, we don't have like the 40, 50 years of history of hatred. Miami's probably the closest thing. All three of your rivals are bigger than the Miami Pats rivalry, I feel like.
I would think the Jets is your biggest rival, only because of the bad blood, with the cheating and everything. I know. Well, that's the thing. They have to beat you enough. Well, Sanchez did beat you on the road in the playoffs, but there's no consistency to that. Like you whip on everybody.
Well, really, it really started with the Belichick-Parcells thing, got it going, but I can't remember like 5 great Jets-Pats games over the last 13 years, like where you have, even when the Cowboys suck, they still manage to have memorable games against those NFC East teams all the time. But, a couple of things stood out from that game, and Collinsworth pointed out all of them because he's great, but the Dallas O-line, Barnwell raised this question in his column today. I thought it was interesting. Could an offensive line be the MVP of the league? If an offensive line could be the MVP, I feel like the Dallas offensive line is like really in that discussion, right?
Definitely. Sure. I mean, you got a running back that could break all kinds of records. He could top 2,000 yards. Romo's been protected like no other. And you're going to remember the last 2 plays of that drive where I think he had 7.5 and like 8.5 seconds to find Des Bryant and Witten and whoever. But yeah, I mean, it's spectacular. It's nice. And as a Patriots fan, you remember it through the years. It's nice to be protected. It really is. But
yeah. Well, and also like you look at the NFC and it's like, all right, now we're hitting to the point of the season where you start looking at what is a team great at. and the teams that are great at certain things seem to start to stand out. Like the Patriots at this point, if they're not scoring 40 points in a game, either they had some accidents or they took the foot off the gas pedal, which they did in that Detroit game. I think they went into in the second half. I think they clearly went into, let's not show the Packers anything. We've scored enough points. Let's not try to pile on here. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, when you talk about bad coaching in the early games and Jim Caldwell, are you referring to the 4th and goal at the 2 when they didn't go for it? And they just, to me, that's the game right there. Was it 17-6 at the time or 13? I don't know what the score was, but you're giving that up. You're kicking a field goal there. Maybe it was 16-3 or something, but that to me is it. That's the game.
That was horrible because when you do something like that, you're basically saying 20 points wins this game, or this is going to be a 23-20 game. And it's like,
right.
You need all the points you can possibly get against the Patriots. And the worst case scenario is we're trapped on the 2. That was awful. At one point in the second half, he challenged a 3-yard pass that we were punting anyway. That was weird. But Caldwell has done some really, really shaky stuff. There's certain coaches that just jump out at this point. Like when the Falcons are in a close game in the last 5 minutes, do you feel like Mike Smith's going to make the right moves? Like obviously not, right?
No, but I also feel like Mike Smith could go 6-0 in the division and get fired. Wouldn't that be something else?
Or what if he got fired right now and they're in first place?
Yeah, he's brutal.
Did you watch all the games yesterday?
I did. I saw them all.
So the Miami game, I'm not positive the right team won that game. Miami, they had some injuries at bat. All of a sudden their defense was depleted. They're playing in Mile High. They made a couple mistakes, but I feel like if those two teams played in the playoffs and Miami was at relative full strength, and even if Denver had Thomas back, that's a close game. I like the way Miami matched up with that team. They should feel good coming out of that game, I think.
I do too, but they've had too many of those games. Now that's 3 games that they probably should have won or could have won. They blew the Detroit game and they blew the Packers game, and you can't lose too many of those in the AFC. But I will say this: I do think a 9-7 team makes the playoffs in the AFC. I think not that. I think there's a few 9-7 teams that won't make it, but I'm looking at San Diego, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Miami. I think they either go 3-2 or 2-3 the rest of the way. They really they have to bang up against each other a lot. So I don't know. I think the 6th seed will be 9-7.
I think it's going to be Kansas City and Miami.
You do.
I think those two get to 10, and then. So what do we make of the Bengals? Are they just going to go 10-5-1 and we get to bet against them in round 1? Because I'm delighted if that's the case.
That would be nice, right? That would be something.
They have Tampa this week. So they're at Tampa. A little bit of a red flag. Tampa's weirdly competent, but then just blows games in the second half. But let's say they win that game. All of a sudden they're 8-4-1, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
8? No. 8.
Cincinnati is 7-3-1. 8-3-1 if they win.
Oh my God. So then they go Pittsburgh at Cleveland, Denver on a Monday night at home, and then at Pittsburgh. So they could lose those last 2.
They play Pittsburgh twice. That's the big news in the AFC North. And the Browns have a tough December, and the Ravens, as we went over, have only the Browns as an AFC North game. And winnable games the rest of the way. But I don't even think we could analyze that, even though I just tried to, until like Christmas or something. I don't know what to do with that division.
All right, let's say the Bengals they beat Tampa, then they win at home against Pittsburgh. So they'd have I don't have this right. Maybe they add Tampa. Oh, they already play. I'm sorry, they already beat Tampa. What am I saying? So home for Pittsburgh this week. Okay. So they win that one. They're 9-3-1 heading into the last 3 games of the season. Could you see them at Cleveland, home Monday night Denver, at Pittsburgh, blowing those 3 and finishing 9-6-1 and missing the playoffs? That's in play.
Wow. Yeah, that is. Although by what I said, I think 9-6-1 does get you the last seed, but that could be. I don't know what to make of Andy Dalton. No one does. He's like throwing over 70% since that horrible Cleveland game.
But then he had the pick six yesterday just to make everyone, in case anyone was too confident in him, he's like, no, I'm going to give you a pick six just so you don't feel good about it.
Right.
Who is the second best?
Ryan Mallett's like, no. This one's on me. You get the next round. I'm paying for this one. So.
Hey, would you like some Buffalo figures?
Yeah.
Who is the second best team in the AFC in your mind? Still Denver, right?
Yeah, still Denver.
And
although
I think
didn't realize how
Miami is dead
Julius
even with
Thomas
them.
was. Yeah, they were. But 6-5. I don't know if I wrote down their last 5 games. I know, obviously, I think they have the Jets twice. Yeah, they have the Jets twice. They have Baltimore. They go to Foxborough, and they have Minnesota. So, is that 3 wins or 4 wins? That's just tough.
All right, so they beat the Jets.
Got to beat them twice.
They beat Baltimore at home. They need to go 4-1. If they're 10-6, they can only blow one. They can blow that Pats game. That's fine. They can't blow another game.
No room.
I like that team though. In the NFC, if you at gunpoint, who would you take?
I tried to analyze. I was up till like 2 in the morning trying to analyze that NFC West and to see if 1 or 3 teams or 2 teams get in. And I think San Francisco gets in. I don't even love the way they're playing. I think San Francisco gets in. I think Seattle doesn't. I think Arizona's won too many games to not get in.
I think you pass Philly somehow.
You do?
I do. Let's say you beat them this week. Right. Philly, the last 4 goes home for Seattle, home for Dallas, and then at Washington, at the Giants to finish.
Well, I was going to ask you, but you had already looked at it, so it's not going to be as fun. But I was going to ask you, whose schedule would you rather have? They both play, Philly and Dallas both play at Washington, and they both play each other, obviously, twice. And one team plays Seattle at home and at the Giants, and the other team plays Indy at home and at Chicago.
Oh, I like your schedule much more because Indy, you can run the ball down Indy's throat.
Yeah.
First of all, you have the Philly game first at home, which takes a lot of pressure off. Chicago, if you can't beat Chicago in Chicago, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs anyway. Then you blow that Philly game. Then you go Indy home at Washington. I think you go 4-1.
I hate this. I mean, remember, 3 of those games are in 12 days. We got rid of one of them last night, but that Chicago game's a Thursday night game, so I just think that's a coin flip.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they go last night, then they go Thanksgiving, and then they go the Thursday after that. So.
God, how much are you going to hate Jay Cutler?
I know it.
You also have the Romo injury thing is always for some reason I feel like it lingers more over him than some of the other quarterbacks who are essential. Sure. He just seems whatever. But do you have 8 wins yet? You do, right?
Yeah, we're both Philly and Dallas 8-4. We have our 8, so it's all gravy.
Congratulations! From here on in. All right, let's talk about
to not have to sweat out the month.
Let's talk about the 3 Thanksgiving games.
All right. 3 Thanksgiving. Chicago at Detroit, the early game.
Whew. I was impressed by the Lions yesterday. I know they got killed, but I thought their defense – it's weird to say, but I thought their defense did pretty well against the Pats. Pats just played really well.
Yeah, they did all right. The Patriots had 24 at half, and I said, wow, that's weird. It doesn't seem like a team that's on pace for 50. I thought the Lions did well, and a couple big special teams plays, and Gronk converted some third downs. But I don't know. I like them this Thursday. I mean, they sort of have to win this game, right?
Yeah. Well, and Edelman's kick return gets called back. Brady missed 2 deep balls on the same drive, which is kind of like the hidden secret. The Pats fans, the ones who really watch every game, and like that's the one we're always afraid to talk about with each other. The fact that Brady just can't connect on deep balls,
really,
at a rate that is commensurate with how good he is at football. Yeah, he just misses those. He misses those throws, and he missed 2 in the same drive yesterday, and it just always makes me nervous. I mean, even going back to last year in the Denver playoff game.
not a secret anymore. I'm glad it's out.
Well, I have a new strategy. I figured just by talking about it, maybe it'll get better. Anyway, I have the Lions by 7 over the Jay Cutlers.
You're going to get this. I don't know why. I said 4.5, and that's too low. It's 6.5. So
Okay.
you're up 1-0. I should point out, 9 spreads yesterday were 6.5 or more. It was a great teaser day, and all of them came in. All the favorites, 6.5 or more, came in on a teaser. I think a little less than half of them covered against the spread, but all of them came in on a teaser.
I should point out, I think that, you look at the Lions, they haven't scored more than 24 points since week 1. Their last, here's what they've done since week 5. 14 points, 17, 24, 22, 26, and 9.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that offense is just not that good because Megatron has not been Megatron, and they don't have a third down running back who scares you. And I don't know. That line seems high to me.
You don't want to knock Caldwell for protecting his injured players, but he kept Calvin Johnson out a long time, and now he's keeping Reggie Bush out a long time. It's like, all right, so is this it for the team? Because these are the games that really need to win.
Yeah, it seemed like he white flagged the Reggie Bush thing a little bit. He clearly wanted to save him for this Thanksgiving game. Cowboys Eagles. I have Cowboys by 3.5.
That's what I had. They're making it an even 3. They're saying this is an even game, and the Cowboys are home. And I haven't heard about Foles. I know he didn't practice last week, and you don't expect that he would practice and play on a short week. But I don't know about Sanchez going to Dallas and only getting 3 points. Seems a little bit low.
The Sanchez thing was interesting yesterday because they were up 17, and I had taken the Titans plus 11, so I was kind of flicking back and forth to that one. And it felt like Sanchez was going to single-handedly keep the Titans in the game somehow.
Right.
If you're an Eagles fan, you did not feel safe with Sanchez at any point in that game.
Definitely not. And that's why it's going to hurt so much when they clobber the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. I just think, though, too many weapons, I think, offensively. I saw what Odell Beckham Jr. did to the Cowboys, and we don't have a lot of guys who can cover past 10 yards, so it should be interesting.
Have you had a devastating loss this year? Redskins?
Let me see.
Is
the
that
Redskins
devastating?
was bad. Yeah, I would count that as devastating.
Okay. Just want to make sure you got one out of the way before this game. And then the Thursday night is a classic.
Great game. Seattle and San Francisco. I don't even know who do you think needs it more. I almost think Seattle needs it more because of their schedule the rest of the way.
Put it this way: whoever loses this game is just going to feel horrible about themselves and their future in this season. So it's almost like worse. It's worse to lose this game than it is better to win it.
I would say what you're saying. Yeah, go ahead.
I would say 49ers by 3.
I went even higher. Stupidly, I said 49ers by 4. No respect, Simmons. 49ers by 1.
Whoa!
So you get that one, but it's basically a pick 'em.
Well, I do think Seattle is a very public team because people just keep waiting for them to turn it around and start to look like the Super Bowl champs again. My question is, can they put up enough points? Like even yesterday, would they end up with 19?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the question for the 49ers, too. I mean, you're praising Kaepernick. They don't ever score. They have like 15 points, 16 points in the fourth quarter every game. But the defense held them in. They've given up like 300 yards, like 7 or 10 games or something.
I heard Coward on the radio today, and I agreed with what he said. Kaepernick can look terrible, but when they really need a drive from him, he can get it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult.
That's true. I don't know which way to go with this one. It's going to be really rough.
My feeling is that Cardinals game, which I watched pretty much every play of, was super physical. And even that the score was what it was, but I don't think the score reflected how physical that game was. And to have to play 4 days later is brutal.
Yeah.
The 49ers-Redskins game, and that was a tough game. The 49ers didn't play well. It was physical to some degree, but not like that Seahawks-Cardinals game.
No.
So I would lean toward the Niners on that one. All right, Colts Skins on Sunday afternoon.
Oh, we're going. All right. Yeah, 9 Sunday afternoon games. I hate this. It's 3 Thursday. Why do they have to do 9 early on Sunday afternoon?
Because they hate us. They
hate us. And then only 2 4:30 games or 4:25 games. It's outrageous. But what's
so
Washington and Indy? What do you think?
Yeah, let's start there. Indy is the good bad team this year. I think that's been established. What they do is they beat the hell out of bad teams, and Washington's a bad team. And I think the Colts are favored by 11.5.
Well, I said 8.5. I think we split this now because it's 10. Right?
Yeah,
Isn't that 10 right in between it? Yeah. Well, let me just say we're speaking now to AFC South heavyweight champion Andrew the Giant Luck. Andrew has the inconsistent Washington Redskins defense this weekend at the Metropolis Skating Rink in Canton, Massachusetts. Andrew, your comments.
I'm excited because, once upon a time, people compared me and Robert Griffin III and debated who should go first, and I've destroyed him. There's shrapnel of him everywhere, and this is really my victory lap for that conversation. So I plan on 40 to 50 points this week. It's really hard to talk with a deep voice like this.
Big words from a big man. Thank you, Andrew the Giant Luck.
Wow. Hey, speaking of wrestling, Sting showed up on Survivor Series last night. Unbelievable.
Well, it is unbelievable. Let you read about it 3 days before that it's going to happen. I just hate the internet.
I didn't read it. I didn't know. I had no idea. And then my son, who knows every ounce of WWE history at this point, and any wrestler from the last 40 years of WWE could have come out and he would have known who it was and known the backstory. Yeah. Not familiar with the WCW, and was like, "Who's that? What's going on?"
Wow.
Was totally confused by Sting. Had no idea what was happening.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So now he's in charge. He's in charge of he's taking over for the authority, right?
If you had told me 12 years ago or 10 years ago that the Red Sox that Hanley Ramirez was coming back to the Red Sox and Sting was coming to WWE, I would have been excited.
What a weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna email myself in 2004 and tell me. But yeah, it was a pretty lame Survivor Series for the most part.
I only saw the main event, and then I read through the rest. But yeah, well, it's tough when you don't have a champion that can wrestle. Not allowed to wrestle.
The problem with me watching wrestling now is my son's 7, and he always watches the wrestling and he gets super excited and, he wants to start wrestling. It's almost like has this Pavlovian effect on him. Right. But now when we fake wrestle, he hurts me. His punches hurt. His kicks hurt. He knows how to do this hold in my arm where he does like this weird finishing move on my arm. And I always think he's going to break my arm. I feel like I'm being abused by my son.
It's bad because you pulled the folding chairs out for Thanksgiving and they end up cracked over your head. Yeah, it's not ideal.
Yeah, he's fearless and he's like weirdly strong. He's like a wild animal. He's just like this 60-pound animal, and I can't fend him off. I feel like I'm going to end up in the hospital with some 15-stitch cut in my head because he beat the hell out of me.
What's the youngest kid a restraining order has been taken out of? Intra-family. I don't know.
We're going to find out. He stood at one point. He stood on the table yesterday and did a flying Macho Man Randy Savage elbow, but actually like landed and hit my head with it. I was like, "You got to stop! You're gonna hurt me."
That is the greatest.
I'm not a mannequin. I'm a human being. Stop.
You have to roll tape during these pay-per-views. Come on, that's gonna be priceless to see that.
Do other kids stand up on a 5-foot coffee table and then go flying at their father with an elbow, or is it just mine?
I think so. No, mine used to, but all the furniture's broken, so they can't stand that.
All right, let's keep going.
Cleveland and Buffalo. Good. Cleveland and Buffalo. Good game.
Well, tough one because we don't know what's going to happen tonight in this Buffalo game, and we might feel differently about them. But
right, and we don't even know if this is in Buffalo. I mean, they say they'll be able to shovel all the snow out, but who even knows?
I wish we could always play where the home team was. Like, 7 feet of snow, or what Bane did to that NFL stadium in the third Batman movie. Maybe
Right.
those are a couple of the instances where you have to move it, but
well,
I
at
have
least
the Bills.
closer to Buffalo. Put it in Syracuse, the Carrier Dome or something. Like, I don't know. Now there's no fan. Now they gave out free tickets to Detroit, and at least if it were in Syracuse or something, you have Bills fans there.
That's true. Couldn't there be like a 200-mile rule or a 150-mile rule?
Yeah,
Biggest stadium within 150 miles?
Right. Do it there.
I like that idea. I have the Bills by 1.5.
You nailed it. Wow. All right. I said 2, and it is in fact 1.5.
Are Brian Hoyer and Kyle Orton the same person?
Oh, they might be. You might be right about that.
Like, they could switch uniforms at halftime, and Hoyer could put on a fake beard, and we'd have no idea from a football standpoint who was who.
He threw 3 interceptions, and one Hoyer was worse than the other. I don't know what. I don't know how they won that game. I really
It's
don't.
kind of a reflection.
Mike Smith.
It's a reflection on Manziel that he can't win the starting job over Hoyer. Hoyer's been terrible for 4 weeks.
Yeah. Well, but 7 wins. I think it's the Mike Smith thing. Like, how do you fire a guy who was in first place? Like, how do you get rid of the quarterback? I guess you look ahead and say, well, this guy's not going to take us to the playoffs. But
they told Manziel, look,
4.
if you weren't drunk all the time, you'd be getting the starting job. Just go out 3 nights a week instead of 6. Just come on, please.
Manziel's been in Vegas the last 2 weeks. He looked at the board and said, "Wait, why is the 7-4 team or underdog to the 5-5 team? Maybe I should get back to practice."
It's such a shaky 7-4.
Yeah.
You go through, like, hold on, because I keep track of all those either or games.
Mm-hmm.
So the Browns have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now 6 either or games, and they're 4-2 in the either or games.
Right.
So
and
they're just plus.
Like
they're plus.
Crowell's a good running back, and Josh Gordon came back, and he looks like just that. He's got that Randy Moss look, like he's not even trying, but then when he catches it, like, oh boy, this guy could score anytime he touches the ball. But otherwise, he's not trying a lot. It's an interesting dynamic there in Cleveland, and they should score more. Like, Hoyer's got the pieces in place now.
I guess.
Yeah.
When you're +2 in either or games, that makes me nervous.
That's true.
I think those teams are even. I actually think, maybe that'll be an emotional home game for the Bills because they'll finally have the little bit of the snow out of there. People, who knows?
Right.
What else do we got?
San Diego at Baltimore. Another. Between these games, Cleveland and Buffalo, San Diego, Baltimore, we may be able to cross 2 more teams off. Good year.
This is a loser leaves town match, I think, officially.
Yeah. I think so.
You can't lose this game and still make the playoffs, I don't think. I really like Baltimore at home. I'm not sold even at all on this Chargers team. I think they were very, very lucky to win that game yesterday. I have Ravens by 6.
Okay, God. Finally, I get one outright. I said 4, and it's 4.5. In the Vegas zone, they don't know what to do with it.
4.5.
And again, a lot depends on the New Orleans game tonight. But yeah, this is a must-win.
I think that line's too low, and I think it's a lack of respect for what Baltimore's been able to do at home over the last few years.
You want to go
Also,
Detroit, Baltimore, 2-team teaser right now. That's what you're looking at.
I just like Baltimore money line.
Oh.
I don't trust the Lions team. I don't know if they score enough.
Oh, they have to win that game. That's Chicago.
There's another team I trust more. We're getting to it.
All right. Is it Tennessee and Houston? Because that's what I had written down next.
Houston's not good either. I have Houston. Good. I'm shocked by how high this line is. Houston by 6.5.
That's what I said, and it's even higher, 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Week 8, they played at Week 8 in Tennessee. Houston won 30-16.
I don't want to throw Ryan Mallett in a tease, and I don't want to lay a touchdown with him, if that's okay. I do feel like
That's all right.
I feel like the Titans blowing that Steelers game on Monday night might have crippled them for the season. I think at this point they're all making vacation plans for Week 18.
You're giving up on Mettenberger on the road already? All right.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's Mettenberg or Mettenberger. I'm giving up on either of them.
God, Mettenberger, Mallett, Bortles. These are the AFC South quarterbacks that are not Andrew the Giant Luck. Good luck to everyone. Carolina at Minnesota.
Minnesota's kind of, I think they're shaping up as the frisky second half team. That's not good, but will hang in these games.
Uh-huh.
You're not with me?
No, I do. It's not playing out like I thought. Didn't you think Cordarrelle Patterson would just he'd be lighting it up and, they'd figure out ways to score and you see Bridgewater highlights scoring twice a game, just calling his own number. I like that they kept it close, and I watched it because I had Minnesota as one of my Sports Center picks, but I do expect more from them at this point.
So, Week 7, they blow the Bills game. They should have won. They lost on the last drive. Week 8, they beat the Bucks in OT. Week 9, they beat the Skins. Week 10 bye week. Week 11, they lose to the Bears, but they were in the game. Then yesterday they lose to the Packers, but were in the game. They hang in these games. Mike Zimmer, giving it up to Mike Zimmer.
I like Mike Zimmer. I think that's why Cincinnati's defense isn't as good because Mike Zimmer's gone. But yeah, he's the man. What do you have for this game? Carolina, Minnesota.
I have Vikings by 3.
All right, you're going to get it. I went low on it. I said Vikings by 1, and it's 2.5.
All right.
Giants at Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, God. Why? Giants by 3.5. This game shouldn't be televised. Let's donate the proceeds to whatever the telecast would have cost to feed people on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. All right, I went 4. You said 3.5. It is 3. Giants are only favored by 3.
Terrible. I will not watch one play of that game.
What do you think? Not even with the great Odell Beckham Jr., but could possibly another highlight? You're not going to watch one play?
If you could have one wide receiver from that draft, would you want Sammy Watkins, Mike Evans, or Odell Beckham Jr.? You could have any of them for the next 10 years.
It's so close. I think Beckham's going to be a little bit of a problem. A little bit of a problem redhead going forward from here on. I like Mike Evans. But I will say this about Beckham. I think the Pro Bowl, like the NBA All-Star game has the slam dunk, why not circus catch contest followed by touchdown dance?
I like it.
Right?
I would rather have Watkins. I think Watkins is even better than people realize because he's been saddled with these quarterbacks that over and underthrow him game after game.
Interesting.
But what Barnwell and Mays and I were emailing about last night, what's interesting is the Browns could have traded down from 4 to, they traded the pick to Buffalo. They got Buffalo's 2015. They could have traded down a few spots and taken Beckham. Basically gotten a free number 1 pick for a coin flip between Beckham and Watkins. Would have been one of the great trades ever, but instead they took some cornerback. I
don't think they liked either of those guys. If I may speak freely, I don't think they were high on their board from what I.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm totally guessing here.
Yeah. Okay.
But they knew Josh Gordon was getting suspended, so it would have made sense to grab one of those receivers, and they didn't like him.
You have Josh Gordon in our fantasy league because I traded him to you for Gronkowski. He is so good, and a couple of times yesterday, Hoyer just missed him, and you could see Josh Gordon be like, "Oh my God, when are we going to play the guy who's always partying?" You could see that. You could see the vibe coming out of him. There was 2 passes where it would have been like a long play, and Hoyer just didn't get him. But Josh Gordon's a beast. He's a beast.
He's fun to watch. Speaking of beast and fantasy, we play each other this week in the last regular season game, and I made the playoffs, and I can't get a bye because I can't catch the team in first. John Hamm's in first. I can't catch him. And you are fighting to not pay for the banquet.
Yeah.
You won yesterday. You're 4-8.
You know why I won? You know why I won?
Why? Who was it? Why?
Because of the Odell Beckham catch. The greatest catch ever saved me from paying for that banquet.
You're right. It's not saved yet. I could tank this. We could work something out. Game means nothing to me.
I'm fine. I deserve to pay for the banquet. I picked a terrible team.
Oakland and St. Louis.
And what's funny is I have the greatest fantasy team ever assembled in my other league. So I have the highs and lows of fantasy all in the same thing. What was this next one?
Oakland and St. Louis.
Oh, two semi-frisky teams.
Let's congratulate ourselves for telling everyone at least to stay away from the Chiefs last Thursday night.
Well, we're both in the Vegas Super Contest. The first time all year that I handed in my picks on Thursday because I wanted to grab the Raiders 7.5 so badly. I was proud of myself.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Good job by you.
Rams by 6.5.
I got this exactly. It's Rams by 7.
Okay.
You wouldn't mind taking the Rams here just to win.
I don't trust Sean Hill.
Ugh.
Just point blank, don't trust him. Would not throw him in a tease ever.
Down 27-17, 8 minutes left on the road, and they came back.
Anyone who teases Ryan Mallett and Sean Hill on Sunday gets what they deserves.
I saw an astounding statistic. The Rams have gone 10 weeks in a row playing a team with a winning record, and that ends this week. But that's amazing.
Yeah, I think they're even better than frisky. They might actually just be decent. But I thought it was interesting yesterday in that Chargers game how many Rams fans were there. Mm-hmm. How are there? I mean, I guess it makes sense because the Rams were in LA for a bunch of years, but I'm going to say like 33% of the crowd was Rams.
It did seem like a lot, and both those teams could end up in our backyard any time now.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I'm okay if my son decides he wants to root for the LA Rams.
Yeah.
Different conference. The Pats beat them in Super Bowl 36, so I'll always be able to hang that over his head. And it might not matter anyway because we might not be talking after he breaks my arm in 2 weeks. I
was just going to say, when he's in jail, is he going to be able to get the feed? I don't know if DirecTV goes to LA County or not. Cincinnati at Tampa Bay.
God, Andy Dalton wins again. Bengals
What are we going to decide if Tampa Bay is like a team we like or we don't like? Are they insane with
Bengals by 7.
Oh, wow. I said 3 and it's 4. Well, let me count this up. I might be making a comeback here. No, not really. 8-6, you're up with 5 games left.
So the Bucks now have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 either-or games, and they're 1-6. 1-6 in the 7 either-or games this year.
Yesterday was an either-or, right? Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
I don't know what to make of them. I mean, we've just talked for 20 minutes about there's not one game here that we trust both quarterbacks. Is there? I guess Seattle. No, I don't know. What game do we trust both quarterbacks in the game?
I got to be honest. I think everybody's looking at the Philadelphia 76ers for tanking. I think you can make a real case for the Bucks playing Josh McCown over Mike Glennon. It's inexplicable. Yeah. It's one of the most inexplicable things I've ever seen in my life.
I know.
Mike Glennon's actually like there's hints of competency with him.
I know the stats don't support it, but when he drops back to pass, I'm so much more confident than McCown. I don't even think McCown stays on his feet like half the time.
Yeah, I mean, I can only judge it from having wagered against both of them. And at least with Glennon, I was a little bit scared. Josh McCown, you just feel like he's going to fumble or throw a pick.
Right, yeah.
That's kind of what he does.
New Orleans at Pittsburgh, that's the last of the Sunday early afternoon game.
Well, I think that's Steelers by 3.5.
You're going to get that. I went higher. I said 5. I thought this is not a team to be trusted. They're 4-6, maybe 5-6 after tonight in New Orleans, and it's actually 3. So you get it.
Okay.
That's too low. I'm sorry. Too low.
Saints outdoors, Steelers at home. Steelers rise to the occasion against better teams. I like the Steelers.
Me too. Too low. All right, thank you, NFL. 2 late afternoon games. That's going to be fun. Arizona at Atlanta.
Wow. Is Mike Smith the coach of this game? It'll be interesting. Cards by 3.
All right, you're going to get this. Why did you go so low? I mean, I said 3.5. You said 3. It's Cards by 2. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be very mad at the league. I don't know why I'm blaming it on the league, but I'm going to be mad if Arizona doesn't win this game. They're a much better team. They're 9-2 at the 4-7 Falcons, and they're a 2-point favorite.
Well, there's a couple reasons. Drew Stanton on the road hasn't had a good road game yet. The Cards, from an advanced metric stat standpoint, are not as good as their record, and people are expecting some regression. I just really like them. I think they're a good team. I ride with the Cards. Even yesterday they sucked, as we discussed, and I still felt like they kind of were hanging around in that game. So,
9-2 in the best division against 4-7 in the worst division. It's in a dome. That team's given. I think Atlanta's done winning games this year. I do. Arizona at Green Bay, Pittsburgh at New Orleans, and Carolina. I think they're done.
The other thing with this game, well, 2 other things. One is the Cards have a great pass defense, and then 2, Mike Smith versus Bruce Arians. Ooh,
right.
Come on.
I know those last 2 lines are head scratchers. All right, and then the one is the big one. 2 big ones, but this is a good one. New England, your Patriots at Lambeau Field, Green Bay Packers.
Amazing. I wrote about this in my Friday column. A reader pointed out it'd be 3 out of 4 weeks the Pats will be underdogs.
Wow.
And they are scoring 40 points a game and blowing out everybody they play, and underdogs 3 out of 4 weeks, which is nuts. But I think it has to be Packers by 3. I think it just has to.
Well, it might go down to that. I said 2.5. You're going to get this. It's currently 3.5 points.
Oh, I love it.
Seems a half point too much.
Oh, I love it. Please stay that line. Oh, that's great. That means Vegas thinks on a neutral field the Packers are better. By the way, why are the Packers better? Who have they beaten?
Do you think that's what they think? I know 3 is usually the adjustment, but Lambeau seems to be at 3 or 4 points.
Hold on. I want to be knocked over by all the great Packers wins this year. They beat the Jets by 7. They beat the Bears by 21. They beat the Vikes by 32. They beat the Dolphins by 3 on a freaking miracle. They killed Carolina. They killed the Bears, and they killed the Eagles. And then yesterday they barely beat the Vikings.
Don't do this.
Why are they a juggernaut? Just stop.
Do this. You know how this ends.
Please, everyone, please think the Pats should be getting 3.5 points in this game. I beg all of you.
Oh, God. I can't believe you're doing this.
I don't care. That's a ridiculous line. It's a lack of respect. That Mike Sandoval had a stat in his thing today. Through weeks 9 through 16 since 2010, the Pats are 32-3.
Saw that, yeah.
It should be a 3-point line. I would have taken 3. 3.5's an insult. I'm going to be insulted. I choose to be insulted by that line.
Who's your running back this week? Let me ask you that. Who's it going to be?
Was that classic Belichick or what?
I mean, I think it really comes off as very arrogant. I know you're loving it, but it's like it really is like the movie Trading Places. They set this guy up. This Jonas Gray goes for over 200 yards. He shows up late to practice Friday, which I think Belichick made him late. I think he had someone sneak like NyQuil into the guy's chai latte. He oversleeps. He's like, all right, you're not playing again. And then you have Garrett Blunt, who was cut from the Steelers for insubordination, and he's on top of the world now. That is classic Belichick.
All-time great bet. Well, you left out the SI cover, which
right.
He also somehow blamed Jonas Gray for. Look, he shouldn't have been on the cover. You know how we do things around here.
Wow.
Nobody's bigger than the team. It was great. Jonas Gray learned a very valuable lesson.
Yeah, he still doesn't know what it is, but he's trying to figure it out. Denver and Kansas City, Sunday night.
Oh, yeah.
Week 2, Denver beat them at home, struggled with them, 24-17.
I really like the slate this week. There's a lot of ones I like. I love the Chiefs in this game. I think they should be favored. I don't think they will be favored. I think it's Broncos by 1.5.
All right. Well, would you believe Broncos by 2.5? I think we split this because I said 3.5. It's Broncos by 2.5.
That's also an insult. And that's an insult to Arrowhead Stadium. That's an insult to the great fans of Kansas City. That's an insult to Alex Smith, who's been phenomenal at covering games. That's an insult to the Chiefs running game, which should be able to run on the Broncos this whole game.
Right. I don't know if you could ever make a team favored over the Broncos that just lost to the Raiders, though. I don't know if it's an insult, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Let me ask you, you said KC makes the playoffs. What's their record? They're 7-4. Which one of these games do they win? Denver, you think they win Denver? They're at Arizona, then they're home for Oakland, that's a win. At Pittsburgh, and then San Diego. I think that's 3-2. I think that's 10-6 at best.
I think they beat Denver, and I think the only game they lose is at Arizona.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. That Pittsburgh game is going to be great.
Although, wouldn't it be the most Andy Reid-ish moment of all time if all they had to do was beat San Diego at home in Week 17 and Phil Rivers beat them in Arrowhead?
That would be good.
I'm going to leave that on the table if that's okay.
Maybe they lose to Oakland at home. Maybe that's a good Andy Reid moment.
I have them. I think they win 3 of the next 4, and then I'm prepared for an all-time stomach punch in Week 17. That's where I'm landing.
Monday night, Miami at New York Jets.
Ooh.
Jets get 2 Monday night games in a row.
I got Vegas zone. Miami by 4.5.
All right, I got this one exactly. It's 4. You win for the week. You're up. I don't know. You're up 7-5-1 after 13 weeks. Congratulations.
Thank you. So it sounds like for Thanksgiving you're leaning toward the Lions, the Cowboys, and the 49ers, all the home teams.
Oh, I would not touch that Cowboys game at all. But I don't know. Sanchez has to have some bad moments there. It's got to be. That Jason Garrett, like, he's spectacular. Like, it doesn't, because of the great catch, because of the Romo, the Bryant, like, it doesn't become the story that, like, on 3rd and short, once again, they had an empty backfield after running all over the place in the 3rd quarter, and they had to punt it away. Like, this is bad. This is where he rears his ugly head. I'm sorry. I'm not taking Dallas this game. But that's what you like? You like Chicago, Philly, and Seattle. You like the road team.
No, right now I like Bears, Cowboys, Niners, but I might flip on the Bears. I need to really, I need to play. This will be my 13th Thanksgiving in LA somehow. I need to play through all the scenarios of getting up at 7, pretending to help my wife with Thanksgiving for 20 minutes before turning my back on her and dealing with her residual bitterness for that. But then also concentrating on the TV game while pretending to talk to the people who come over. But then I need to have the variable in my head of, if Jay Cutler starts doing Jay Cutler things, am I going to be blindsided by that, or am I going to be emotionally ready for it?
You forgot locking yourself in the guest bathroom, hiding from your son.
I forgot that part. Well, I'm not going to put wrestling on it. It's only when he sees wrestling. It's a Pavlovian effect. But so here's the thing: is it worst? What has a better chance of happening? Jim Caldwell ruining your early part of Thanksgiving, or Jay Cutler?
That's rough. Yeah, I think the Lions. I think the Lions eke it out. I think it's a close one. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think it is too. I like getting the points, though, because I can see either team winning. And as we discussed earlier, Detroit really has trouble scoring. Like that's a thing. So if you're laying a touchdown,
don't rule out the wrestling in your in the Lions game. Dominican Sue is known to drop some knees on the helpless quarterback. So your son sees that. It's game on again.
Good point. One last thing about tonight's games, because we got 2 Monday night games, which I love. I think there should be 2 Monday night games every week. As we talked about this after week 1. I love the early, late Monday night games. Is great. I love having the super late game at Oakland or at San Diego. Those are awesome. But Jim Schwartz, who ran the line, it just was terrible running the Lions. Left under ignominious circumstances, came back as a member of the Bills, then went in Detroit. He asked his players to carry him off the field, now, in a weird karmic turn, comes back to Detroit.
Right.
So aren't the Lions fans all going to be rooting against the Bills just because he did that?
And there's going to be Lions fans there because they gave out free tickets. So it's not like you have a 30,000 Bills fans there. Yeah, he may not get out of there alive. I'm surprised he didn't protest more than anyone to have that game there.
If you're a Lions fan, you've never even played in a Super Bowl before. Barry Sanders is the best player you've ever had, and he retired during his prime. You have really no memorable great playoff wins at all, a handful. Wouldn't you go to Detroit tonight to the stadium just to root against the Bills so you could taunt Jim Schwartz? That would be the highlight of the month.
That would be it. Yeah, the car industry's dead. Go in there, have some fun with it. This is your day.
Schwartz. Just all Schwartz-related cheering, yelling, and it would be great. Cuz, what do you got to plug?
All right, Jimmy Kimmel Live tonight. The great Jennifer Aniston and Ken Jeong. Later this week, Chris Pine, Mindy Kaling, Ronda Rousey, Rick Ross is going to perform. And my Grantland blog, I think Wednesday afternoon it'll run. Pick the Raiders to win. I recouped a bunch of Dramajestys last week. Sports Center late Thursday, early Friday, 3-0 last week. Best bets 8-3, over 70%. I'm trying to help you people. Don't you want Christmas gifts for your kids? Don't you want it so they're not wrestling you? Don't you want a headgear for yourself to protect yourself against a rowdy son? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just take the money. I'm giving it to you.
When are you taping the Sports Center thing?
Wednesday night.
Oh. So you can't put Thanksgiving games in there.
No, because it's airing Thursday night. I know, it's going to be weird. I need to talk to them about that.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, what is it?
Take the Patriots.
Really? Oh, man.
If the line's going to be 3.5 and you don't take the Patriots, I'm never talking to you again.
This is the most confident I remember you. In a regular season game, this is the most confident. And it's against the Packers.
I'm not saying we can't lose the game. I'm just saying that line's insulting.
All right, I'll consider
it. For anyone to put the Packers and the Patriots in the exact same conversation after what we watched the last 2 months is insulting to me. The Packers having to play. They got killed in the Superdome 3 weeks ago. They got killed. They got destroyed in the Superdome, and it was within the last calendar month. The Patriots have not lost in 2 months. They're killing everybody.
The Chiefs game was 2 months. I know. It's been a long time. I hate your cockiness. I just don't like it. I don't know what to make of it. I'm not being cocky.
It's just, what do you have to do to get an adequate line in Green Bay? What else did the Patriots have to do over the last 8 weeks?
Vegas, stop insulting Bill. Enough with the insult.
I love it. This is great. This is Belichick feeds on this. You're feeding the monster. Cuz, happy holidays. I look forward to our annual Thanksgiving 3-team parlay that I lose, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, let's talk about it. Happy Thanksgiving. Good job by you, Billy.
Target % off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.